From the bottom, we out here getting it. Don't know what a limit is. Only surround yourself with people you plan to finish with. Consistency the key, unlock the door to your dreams. Prepare, plan, and execute, complete, and then repeat.
What's up? Back with another episode of From the Bottom podcast. As always, we got your host Fitz. We got Ty.
Yo.
We got Alicia.
Good morning.
We got Tati.
Hello.
All right, let's get into it. How have y'all been on this splendid week?
You know, it's Wednesday. It's almost Friday, so can't complain. Can't complain.
What does that mean?
It means the week is halfway over. We made it through another week. We're progressing, moving on down the road. That's what that means. You could have something to look forward to. For me, Wednesday comes and it's like, ooh, 2 days till Friday. You made it.
What would
you
a week
did
look
good.
like? What would a week look like if you didn't make it?
What do you mean?
So you said
I always make it.
That's what I'm saying. What would it look like if you didn't? What would it look like if you weren't making it?
I don't know.
I'm just asking.
I try not to get in that. I don't know. I just try to make it. I don't try not to make it. I ain't never not made it. So I don't know how to answer that.
I'm just messing with you. I know.
I
know the thing where it's like it's almost Friday. I just always like to ask, like, what's special?
Well, what would it be for you
about making it through the week?
Yeah, what does a week look like if you didn't make it?
I'm dead.
Well,
I don't know.
This guy.
Right? Isn't that's exactly how I felt when you asked me the question. I was like, I don't know.
No, I'm saying that's literally what it would mean to me, like that I wouldn't be living. So like if you wouldn't make it through the week and you have a different answer, I'm thinking of some result that you would want and then you're not getting it. So it's like, what is getting through the week relative to? I guess that's what I'm asking. Like, how would you know that you didn't get through the week? Outside of being dead, because if you're not alive, of course, that you couldn't have made it through the week. But when you are alive, when you say that you made it through the week, what does that mean? And what would it mean if you didn't make it through the week? That's kind of the question I was pondering.
I get what you're asking. I just never even thought about it that way. It's just always, we're making it through the week. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. Happy hump day.
People making it through their BS.
Go ahead, Ty. Get her.
That's what it is. Nah, it's just people trying to make it through their lives that they might not necessarily like, or that they're tired of.
Do you think Shalisha don't like her life?
He's not pertaining his comment.
You want a real answer, or you want a fake?
In general, I love my life. I want a real answer though, because I'm curious to see what the real answer is. So I'd like a real answer.
Yeah, let's hear it.
What's up?
You can't handle the truth.
Wait, I just asked for the truth.
He said
you can't handle saying the truth because I just asked for it.
The last Wednesday you make it through if he gives you the truth.
Yeah, shit.
Nah.
I'm gonna make it regardless.
Shalisha likes her life, but there's 20% that she's worried about a lot of things going on. So that's her making it through the week because she's so worried about things that haven't even happened yet.
We know this 2 weeks. Oh my gosh.
She's happy with her life, but she's making it through the week because she's doing the 80%.
Yeah, she's not doing the 80%. She's too worried about focus on the 20%. That's not even real.
And so the 20% is stressing her out.
Yep. Because of herself.
I would say it's like 90-10.
Man.
90-10. In my humble opinion.
Man, humble.
In my humble opinion. No, I do stress and focus on things that really are out of my control, but that's just me. And, it's a lot of changes going on right now. To me, I classify these as big changes. So I just like to be prepared. Like, I like to have all my ducks in a row. I like to have everything planned, mapped out, set this here, that there, this over there. So this journey's been a little rocky. So it's got me. Your mic, I couldn't hear you.
Is that something that you want to change, or do you like it that way?
No, it's something I'm working on changing. So we try to take, like, when I start stressing or I get like negative thoughts or I get anxious, I try to just turn it into something positive, focus my mind on something else that is more positive, or I tend to sometimes focus on those what ifs and just trying to get away from that and just let it be what it is. Let it be what it be.
That's interesting that you say that because I never understood why people said that and why we always result to a negative mindset of like, okay, what if it doesn't work out? It was never okay. What if it does work out? What if you get what you want? What if it, like goes your way? It's always, well, what if it doesn't work out? It's like we can't appreciate the wins and losses. We're so focused on just winning that we don't take the value out of a loss.
I do want to.
No, that's true.
And I do want to point out something, not to pick on Shalisha. I was saying,
It's okay. I always get picked on.
when you said like you were given like examples of like, oh, I like to be planned and I be stressing and stuff, and you said that's just who I am. But when you said all the things that you were doing to change it, you didn't mention anything about changing who you are. You just mentioned changing things that you do. So
Yeah.
if stressing is who you are and you don't want to stress as much, wouldn't you have to change who you are? Like, but why isn't that in the solution?
I get what you're saying. I would put it as more so as just like a characteristic of who I am and not necessarily like the founding piece. I don't need to change myself. Just I've always had that hope for the best, prepare for the worst mentality, especially just because of, my life that I was dealt with. And so that's just always been that go-to for me but my mind takes it like, okay, we're gonna take that and jump it to like 1,000. Like most people just leave it simple. My mind just does it just like skyrockets to like that absolute worst. But we're changing and tweaking and tuning up different parts of who I am, but I wouldn't say necessarily who I am needs to change.
When I approach something, I approach it a little different. Like I look at it like I need to be someone different, not like my values and stuff like that, but just.
I would say like a shift in a mindset.
More developed.
Yeah, and to me, a shift in a mindset is a shift in me. Like I believe that you are your mindset. So if I truly believe that I am my mindset, then if I have to change in order for my mindset to change. Like I can say that my mindset has changed, but if it hasn't, like nobody knows that their mindset hasn't changed until it's too late. Like I put out like a quote the other day. I think I sent it to you guys. It said, "You're comfortable until you're not." Like you don't know you're uncomfortable until you're uncomfortable. So, but up until then, you think you're comfortable because you thought you were comfortable. But then once it's apparent that you're no longer comfortable, now you know. And I think that's the same thing with the mindset. Is like you don't actually know what your mindset is until that's challenged. And so when you had said like that's just who I am, I was thinking of like from a solution-based standpoint, if you wanted to change that, it's a lot harder to change who you are compared to what you do. And so that's why that stood out to me.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I guess it all goes hand in hand. It's definitely hard. Let me tell you, it's definitely, especially to catch it in that moment, like, and just like nip it in the bud. Yeah, trying to catch a little firefly. It's hard, but after you realize that you caught it in the moment and you were able to like self-reflect immediately and just be like, yo, you need to chill, dude. For me, that's like a good feeling because it makes me aware that I can see that little bit of growth and that little bit of change throughout my journey. So it helps. It's like, all right, you got this.
I
You
agree.
right.
You gotta stop putting too much pressure on it. You gotta stop putting too much pressure on yourself. That's the problem. You put too much pressure on yourself, and then you crack. If you can't withstand the pressure, you ain't gonna make it. And then you gonna. Y'all ever seen that movie with the mood sets? I don't remember what it's called, but they all know what triggers they had. They all stressed out all those things. But once they stop putting so much pressure on themselves, they were fine. So you
What
gotta.
movie?
It's some movie with some moods. I don't know what it was called.
Oh, the kid movie with
Yeah,
the emotions.
yeah. You the red one.
I did see that with the kids. Actually, I thought it was a great kid movie. I
Yeah,
loved
Shalisha's
it.
got 4 kids. Everybody, 4 kids.
I don't.
Anyways,
I got about 8.
you gotta like double back on the pressure and let it work how it's gonna work. Because if you don't, then you trying to speed up the journey, and the journey's not meant to go that fast. And then you're gonna miss out on everything.
What do you think? What do you think about what we're talking about, Tati?
I need some of that wisdom.
Show some love, get it out the mud.
Just take it as life pushes it out, and life gives you lemons. Gotta make something sweet out of it.
That black Kool-Aid.
Grape drink.
Great.
So
This
nobody
guy.
drink no grape Kool-Aid. That's nasty.
I said drink.
What? Disrespectful.
It's not healthy, but I don't think
Yeah.
No, I think it's nasty. It reminds me of medicine. Like I will tear some grapes up, like some actual grapes, but grape flavored like candy, Kool-Aid. I don't know what it is. It just reminds me of the grape flavored cough syrup, and it's just nasty. So
Okay,
I
Lil
just
Wayne.
don't. I don't.
Hey, bro, listen.
you
So
gotta
yesterday I was cleaning out my Jeep, and Tatiana's little saying came in my head. Got it out the mud, show some love, bro. I said that out of nowhere. I said, "Dang it, Tatiana, you got it stuck in my head now." I just said it all randomly.
it's sticking. That's what she does. Gets in there, plants her seed, and then it grows. And you're
There
in a
you go.
relationship.
What? Don't blame her because you got hooked. You know you got hooked to that Tati. Go ahead, girl.
What I was gonna say, something Ty said earlier about, pressure, and then we'll get into the topic for the day. But pressure, I don't know if you guys saw that building that collapsed in Florida.
Yep.
Yes.
But I think that could be like a metaphor for how people live their life. Like that building wasn't built for the future, like it was built for when it was built. And whatever materials they were using, whatever construction methods they were using, it was only good for so long. And then it gave out. And there were even inspections that showed like this building is going to give out if something's not done. And I think we do that in our lives where I don't think that it's necessarily the pressure, but it's that you didn't build yourself up for the pressure. And if you would have inspected yourself, you would know that, okay, I can't handle this much pressure. And so what can I do to make the repairs or whatever so that I can handle this amount of pressure? But then what ends up happening is the building collapses. And then it's like, oh, it was the pressure. In a sense, it was. But in another sense, the pressure was letting you know that something needed to change and you ignored it. And then it happened. But if you ignore the fact that you ignored the pressure and the warning signs, then I think that's where people mess up because they blame the pressure instead of their lack of attention or awareness or their lack of action when they could have prepared for the pressure or found a way to relieve it. Like they could have told people not to live in that building while they relieved the pressure, which was, the building material and stuff like that. Like they could have done something, but now people are dead because they didn't heed the warning signs. And those people may not have even known about it, and now they're dead. And that's what happens in our lives too. When we don't heed the pressure, it not only affects us, but it affects other people as well. And those other people may not want to work with you or put you in opportunities that you would have had if you would have addressed the pressure earlier on. And so I just wanted to add that to what Ty was saying about pressure.
Yeah, no, you hit it on the head.
Yeah, people like that's why I say you that's why I say you gotta pay attention to that resistance, because that resistance is telling you that you need to redevelop who you are. Because once you can't go down, like for Shalisha, if she's facing some resistance, that means she gotta tweak something. She gotta change something about herself. Because if she takes that down to Las Vegas, if she take that down to Texas, it's gonna put her in some trouble. You feel me? So, hey.
All right. Well, we finished our section of the podcast where we diagnosed Shalisha, and we are moving.
Right, because I was just about to say, ain't nobody else said how they week been.
This
was a Shalisha topic.
What's the conclusion? What's the Shalisha conclusion?
I'm done.
She got the headband on. Take it easy. Got the black headband on. She's matching. Conclusion is she's in a good place. She's moving forward, and she will not collapse.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah.
Unless.
Yes.
No. You had it right the first time.
You see her body go limp.
She's like, dang it. She gonna start crying on the podcast.
I mean, with the way my back been feeling, I might be limping. I'm just saying.
The way my back is set up.
Old self.
I got a spine and I got a neck.
And I had an injury. No, for real.
That's good. That's good. You're prepared. Okay, yes. Before we get into the podcast, I got a funny story. Got a funny story. So, Alicia calls me the other day.
Oh my God. I'm not going to call you no more.
Talking about, I got some strep throat, right? And first thing I said, what do you think I said?
You hear this voice though? It's better. Talk about, so you got that Rona. Anybody got no Rona?
Well, that was my first answer, but my second answer would have been,
the second answer is not available for the podcast.
Are you going to be better by the time we do the podcast?
I was like, no, I got into that. I was like, well, I'm glad that.
So I was like, I don't know if I could do this podcast.
I was like, I'm glad that we did the podcast before, because this was like when we did it the other day. And she was like, I was like, well, I'm glad we did it before. Something was telling me. But I was like, you got that Rona. And she was like, no, I don't. And then I was like, how do you know? And she's like, just because I could feel it in my body. And I was like, well, maybe they need a test if you already know. And she was like, I don't got it. And she's like, I don't think I got it. And this, and this. And that's the more.
I'm very in tune with my body, so I knew I didn't have it.
The moral of the story was she called and I thought she had Rona. But she didn't have Rona, so I'm here to publicly say that my streak of always being 100% right has been. And
yep, I had to send screenshots to prove it.
Yeah, but she had strep throat.
My test results. I always get like bronchitis, laryngitis, all those upper respiratory infections all the time, but never around this time of year.
What are you, a pug?
That's climate change.
A pug?
Yeah.
Like the dog?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. But they're so cute. I wish I had one. Why, do they get sick easily?
Yeah. Their noses are pushed in.
And that makes them sick easily?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what she
has. Yeah, maybe. Maybe I am then,
that's what she
because
is.
I get sick easily.
That's it.
Robert won't let me have a pug. Petty moment.
A pug is like this big. It's like a football.
I can throw it out.
No.
I'll
hit the like button if you want Robert to let me have a puppy.
I'm dead.
Hit the dislike button
that like button. Subscribe if you want Robert to let me have a puppy. Just saying. Just throw that out
Get
there.
that
Whoever
subscribe
watches
button.
this.
Hit that.
Hit it regardless, but
If 100 people like it, you can have a puppy. And then I go and I
don't play with me.
Then I go and delete the subscribers.
You done.
Boy,
We
stupid.
don't need the views. We good.
Hey, when the puppies are born, bro, they're like this. They can sit in the hand of your palm, bro.
They're so
God,
cute.
they're cute, but they're little
That's what my dad
terrorizers.
used to say when I was born. He said that I was so small that I could fit in like a shoebox.
Mm.
That if he put me in a shoebox and like put me up in the closet, nobody would ever know. Like dig into my bed, he could just put me in a little shoebox and like put me in the closet.
Should have tried it.
Right?
Or Shalisha.
Nah, I wouldn't have been able to fit.
I got them new Nikes. This is just me in a shoebox. All right, let's get into this podcast. Let's make some people mad today. All right, let's talk about gender equality. Nah. Nah, but
I was about to say,
I'll bring
we're
it up.
not.
I'll bring it up some. But,
No.
it was, so I was thinking the other day about respect and how we get to the point to where we choose to respect somebody or not respect them. And so just wanted to open up the conversation because I feel like, especially with parents and, bosses or people in authoritative roles in our lives, there's kind of this social norm where you kind of respect, and you respect even if it's not given. And so do you guys agree with that philosophy that respect should be given regardless, or is it earned in all situations?
10%. So 10% it should be given to elders, your grandma, grandparents, stuff like that. I think it's a different level when it comes to them. For everybody else, you gotta earn it. It ain't given. I don't care what title you have. I don't care what society has deemed for you. I don't care if you're my mama, my daddy, none of that. I think it's a certain level that you have to build with people. Because my mom always said, I'm your mom, you should respect me. I'm like, yeah, but I also am not gonna let you disrespect me. So there's a certain boundary we had to set for that respect to be earned on both sides.
Let me ask you a question. If you disrespect your mom, do you feel like you're disrespecting yourself? If that's like a core belief that you have to not disrespect her, and then you let her get you to the point to where you disrespect her, did you actually disrespect yourself by going against something you truly believe?
To an extent, I feel like that specific maybe scenario is different because I feel like families always fight. So it to me it's just like a little argument, but now we got to a place where I can kind of figure out what's going on and what's the root cause of it. That way I don't have to react in a negative way because she's taking that out on me, and then vice versa. So I would say no, because we don't really do that. And if we do have a little moment, we just thug it out, and then that's it. You feel me?
Get her jumped real quick and I told you, leave Ty alone. What do you think, Shalisha?
I think that I agree with that certain level of respect, but I just do it to people in general. I just give a certain level of respect to just everybody, no matter what their age or anything like that is. But I do also feel that it has to be earned. I'm not gonna just like walk up to somebody and be disrespectful, of course, but I do think as people, as humans, we should all just give that initiative little bit of respect. I don't know. So no matter who, mom, dad, elderly, I'm just a respectful person.
All right. After we get Tati's, I'm gonna go back to that. All right. What do you think?
So my personal take on it is, I just give a baseline level of respect to.
Speak up.
I just give a baseline level of respect to any and all that I come across. The way respect was instilled in me by my mother and somewhat my father, it was more of a fear of what would happen if I didn't give that respect. So for me personally, fear and respect are associated in this weird way, but I don't think that they have to be. And I've met people that I respect that I didn't necessarily feel afraid of or fearful of what they may do if I didn't give them that respect. So it's an interesting relationship with me personally, but in general, I try to respect anyone I come across, regardless of what they do to me. If you disrespect me or I feel like you don't, respect me for whatever reason, what I'll usually do is I just won't mess with you. Or I won't maintain a relationship with you by just, I'll just separate myself from you and your energy and whatever else is involved.
Yeah, and that's important. I think the context matters when it comes to respect. Like me personally, I think that you should respect your parents and like the elders regardless. Like I don't think there's any situation where you shouldn't respect them, but I think that when we talk about respect, kind of like what Ty was saying, it's like there's normal things that happen. Like there's normal things in families and stuff where it's like, the respect card could get played whenever there's just a disagreement. So now you voicing your opinion becomes disrespect. That I don't agree with, because I think that can be an abuse of power. And I think that can be taking advantage of your position as, maybe the leader of your family or, a parent or something like that. And so, yeah, I think that respect is one of those words where everyone kind of throws it around, but it can be changed up in different scenarios.
He freeze or is just me?
No, he froze. Oh, okay, there
Okay.
we go.
What's the
Oh,
last
punk
thing
Wi-Fi.
You back?
Am I back? Can you hear me? What was that? I'm frozen.
What the heck
Back
was
with
that?
another video. He restarted.
You restart the whole thing?
Oh, we can't hear you, son.
You gotta change your audio on the Zoom.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry about that. We had a minor malfunction. It just kicked me out and then came back on. I don't know what happened.
Broke
I
boy.
was like, oh, he
Right?
ain't got nothing important to say.
Right. But okay. So going back to Shalisha's earlier point, where you were saying, I think you were saying that you're respectful regardless.
Mm-hmm. Well, I try to be respectful to everybody.
Okay, so how do you monitor what respect means to you in moments where it's easy to not be respectful? Like how do you stick to your definition of respect when something happens and it's like
when somebody's being disrespectful to me?
Yeah. So when you say you
How do I handle that?
Yeah,
I
like
need
are
an
you
example,
respectful when
each
you're
scenario is
respected?
different. Am I respectful if I'm disrespected?
Yeah.
It depends.
On what?
It depends on the level of disrespect. Because I can be respectful and still be petty and get under your skin without having to necessarily completely take myself out of character and get on that level with you. But then again, it depends. But I'm working on just not getting on that level with people regardless, just because I don't want to be put in that situation. I don't want to have to act out of character. It doesn't go that way all the time. Something we're still working on. But I've just found nicer ways to be petty and kind of tit for tat with you. You can be nice and throw a little shade is all I'm saying.
All right, well, let me open this question up to everybody. So Alicia just said something. She said out of character, right? Like when she is disrespectful, that's out of character. So let's say I work at 7-Eleven, right? And you go into 7-Eleven one day, you want a free drink, whatever, I let you get one. But I'm in my uniform, you know, like I'm in my 7-Eleven uniform, I got the shirt on. And then I get off work and I go home and I still have my uniform on. Am I out of character when I still have that uniform on at home? Like what, like I guess what I'm asking is like, if I wear that uniform outside of work, is that out of character? I swear I'm going somewhere with this.
I don't think so.
You don't think it's out of character if I wear that uniform outside of work?
Why would it be? I don't know.
Because some people have a different level of respect when it comes to working in a place of business compared to outside. So what Fitz is referring to, like, he has the utmost respect for everybody at his job, but then when he gets out of his job, all that goes out the window because he took his 7-Eleven shirt off.
So what I'm saying is like, is that actually out of character for me? Like if I'm at 7-Eleven working, that's my character at 7-Eleven. If I'm at home cussing and stuff, that's my character at home. I think I can do both without being out of character when I'm doing the other thing. So like when you're disrespected, how do you know that that's just not your character when you're disrespected?
It could be.
So when you say like, I don't like to get out of character, what if that's your character in this situation? Because if what you're saying is true and you disrespect people when you're disrespected, it would actually be out of character for you to respect them when you're disrespected.
Well, no, because I said that you could be nice and not disrespectful and still, you know, get that little shot in. You don't have to be disrespectful to be petty.
So you think being petty is respectful?
It's not. I'm not saying it's respectful, but you don't have to necessarily take it to the line of disrespectful. I don't feel like when you and Ty is petty, I don't feel like y'all disrespectful all the time.
Hey, listen.
All the time.
Keep my name at your mouth. Disrespect me like that.
Oh yes.
Camera went off.
I would have to say, I think I hold a certain level of respect for everybody. I wouldn't say I give it to everybody I come in contact with. I think I'm more approachable and nice to people, but it doesn't necessarily mean I respect them, or because I feel like respect is a deeper thing.
Define it. What's your definition of respect?
I'd probably say being a genuine person to the people in your circle. So how I treat my family, how I treat people in my circle is how I might treat somebody else if I got that respect for them. They need anything, I got them. They want to talk about anything, I got them. So kind of just being that open source to them. For your example, your scenario, I used to be ready to jump off the block. But now I've gotten to a point in my journey of healing where I keep a calm state, but I also let that person know this is what's gonna happen if you don't stop getting yourself into trouble. And I continue on about my business. Because realistically, when you get into some stuff, everybody gets hurt, including yourself. Even if you win, stomp them out, whatever, you still get hurt in the process. You know what I mean? So you give them an option: either live to fight another day, or don't live. Your choice. And I just continue on about my business, and if it leads to a higher level, then I'll handle it as B. But
All right. Do you have anything to add to that, Tom?
I think you guys covered everything.
Yes. We got the
I'm
Tati
done. Did you say yes?
stamp. Tati stamp of approval. It's credited in 17 countries around the world. Every
Mine
state in the
still
United
delivered.
States. Cash that in. Getting out the mud, showing that. Make sure if you have not liked this podcast, this YouTube channel, share, comment, all those great things.
what about you, sir?
Rephrase the question.
What about you? What about you, sir?
About respect.
When you're disrespected,
Respect.
do you respond with disrespect?
I would say.
And I want two different answers. I want you now, and then I want you like a couple years ago.
I would say.
Because it's two completely different people, and I
would say that I would say it's the same answer because I'm still me, but I put myself in less situations to be disrespected. But if I am disrespected, I will still be disrespectful. But I try to find ways to be disrespectful that are in line with what I'm trying to do. So, I have more fun with it now because there's less at stake. Like before, that was more of my identity because I had nothing. And I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I'm gonna do a video on it with my online course. That's right, I'm making an online course. Should be up in a few months. But I used to party with people and stuff like that, and I wasn't doing anything wrong, but I was in situations that were not aligned with what I wanted in life. And I noticed when I started putting myself in situations that were aligned with what I wanted in life, that I stopped doing those other things. And so I kind of look at it the same way, where it's like, I try to have fun with my disrespect now. So it's like, it doesn't come often, but when it does, I'm in a place now to where I can step back and view it from a place of fun and not a place of like anger or proving something to someone or something like that. So yeah, I just take it differently now because I have more at stake, but I also still need to get that anger out in some way. So I try to have fun with it. And that's why I'm petty, or like I try to create more full circle moments where if somebody's disrespectful to me, it depends. It depends who's disrespected. If it's somebody that I know I'm going to deal with in the future, then, it's like there's nothing better than letting someone think they won the battle, but you winning the war. And so, I try to focus on winning the war in those situations. If it's an obvious situation where somebody's hitting me or something like that, then I don't consider it disrespectful to do something back. But if it's just words or something like that, then I kind of just let it be known and, have tough skin and have fun with it. It's a game. You got to have fun with certain things. Is that a good answer?
You ain't been throwing no chairs at nobody?
Not lately, but
Tatiana be beating the brakes off of him.
Maybe that situation will arise one day and I'll have that opportunity. As I progress in my life and my businesses, I will be able to afford lawyers. And so
This guy.
when I can afford a lawyer, y'all think I'm petty now? When I can afford lawyers, it's over. I'm
I'm done.
I'm doing the most. Like that's what it is.
Good luck, Tatiana. Good luck.
You're gonna have a lot of court cases you're gonna have to go to, girl.
I'll send the lawyer. Not her. We'll
She
send
gonna
the,
have to be there to support you.
no, we'll send the lawyer. He's not gonna be there.
Oh, you're just not gonna be there at all?
It's in the court.
Well, that's if it goes to trial. But most cases they get like a plea or something like that, or they're figured out before it goes to trial. So you just send a lawyer there. They file a motion. If I have to be there, I'll show up. But
I'm done.
next question.
He gonna be like, Judge, hold on. So you're telling me this, and this, but here's something else. I got to let you see it from this side.
Yeah, you know, I'll pull out my research on the judge, and then I'll shout out the podcast from the bottom.
I'm done.
Just went to court,
Getting it out the mud.
getting it out the mud, showing love to the judge. Let's go. So this next question, y'all ready for this? I don't think they ready.
That's what I thought of when you said that. Space.
All right. So when we demand respect from other people, we have, certain criteria and stuff, right? So what have you personally done to earn your own respect? Like, why do you deserve your respect?
I don't.
Why do you say that?
It's up to the it's up to the person to deem me worthy enough to give me that respect. I don't demand respect from nobody. If you don't want to respect me, then that's cool. It's not a problem. Like, I'm not gonna trip.
Not them respecting you, but yourself respecting you. Like, we want other people to respect us, or there's this, I don't want to say want, but things work smoother if there's respect on a mutual level. But on a personal level, what have you done to earn your own respect?
Oh, stay true to myself. Get away, break all the society norms off. Really hone in and focus on me as a person. Heal myself, both my kid self, my teenage self, and my adult self. And really just tap into that, man. Like I live my life, people gonna love you for who you are no matter what. Those who don't, then they just don't. The same thing goes with respect. Like, I respect myself enough to set boundaries with people. If they can't respect those, then they was never meant to be in that position to be in my life. So I think just being true to yourself and really, really loving yourself. I think a lot of people, and Alicia might be offended because she always says self-love is the best love. But a lot of people say that, but they don't love themselves. They still put themselves in situations with relationships, friendships, jobs. They talk about all this stuff on Facebook. Like, a lot of people just want to say it because it feels good. They don't never want to put in the work. And you can't say self-love. People in general can't say self-love is the best love if they're not practicing it, because that means you're just being phony. No shots towards you.
No, you saying Shalisha hasn't practiced it.
I didn't say that.
Oh, I wasn't even. I knew it wasn't directed to me. I know I be getting it done over here.
I heard a little different, but what do you think?
I be getting it done over here.
So he has you mistaken.
Oh, he's not talking about me. I don't fit into that category. So we preach it and practice it, so that way I can share it with others. I can't share it with others if I've never went through it or experienced it myself. Then I'm gonna be able to relate and make that connection and really get them to understand the importance behind it. So
I agree with you. I think I was wrong as well.
He wasn't saying it was about me. This is you trying to be petty. He was talking about in general. No, he was talking about in general.
I'm talking about in general. Alicia isn't the only one that I've seen say that. It's a lot of people from like my hometown, people I've encountered, and they always want to preach on Facebook, but then, they'll say self-love is the best love, but then like a month later they be talking about some dude. or he don't deserve me, blah 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 blah. And it's like, if you loved yourself that much, you wouldn't put yourself there in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
or respected yourself.
Hold up.
Show that reaction. Clap for
I
it.
disagree with that.
Why you say that?
I disagree because I don't think it's necessarily where you put yourself, but where you leave yourself. So I think that you can put yourself in a situation that you think would have worked out, but the moment you realize it won't, if you stay, that's where I feel like the personal disrespect comes in. But if you went into it and you had good reasons, good intentions, you did your research and all that stuff, and it just didn't work, that's fine. But I think it takes strength to leave, because it's the same thing when you start a business or you go to school. Maybe you went in with good intentions, but then you figured out this isn't for you. I don't think you gotta stay and get that degree if you don't want to, or stay in this business if you find out you're not really passionate about it. So I think
Right.
you can put yourself in situations, and then now if you put yourself in situations over and over and over again, and this is the same dude you were talking about 3 months ago, and you done made a whole police report and everything, and now and now it's just like that's a different story. But
and if you already know what you're getting into before you choose to get into it, knowing that it's not something you need to be getting into and you still get into it, that applies too.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's a big part of respect that we don't actually talk about, is respecting ourselves and self-care and stuff like that, and also self-confidence. And there's a lot of misinformation, I feel like, around confidence. People think that when you're confident, you have to be this arrogant, rude, mean person that
I get it all the time.
Yeah, that only looks out for themselves. And they may be right when it comes to Ty, but it don't have to be like that. So one of the questions that I wanted to open up to you guys.
Hey, just say you're not confident. Just say you're not confident.
Just say you're cocky.
One of the questions that I wanted to open up to you guys is, how do you distinguish between someone respecting you and you being, I guess, arrogant, or you being unreasonable, or trying to put yourself above someone, put them on a pedestal? Like, how do you know when you're out of line and you're just confusing it with them disrespecting?
I think it goes hand in hand with the whole treat others how you want to be treated type of thing. So you can't expect something from somebody else if you're not expecting it from yourself.
We got to eliminate that, though. That's BS.
What?
Why? Treat someone the way you want to be treated. What if you don't mind confrontation?
I mean, I guess you have a point there, but
you said this the other day when I was roasting and stuff. You was like, oh, well, what about Tati? She may not like roasting all the time, and it's like, does that mean that I should keep doing it? Like, does that mean that I'm disrespecting her when I roast her?
I wouldn't say disrespecting her when you roast her, but at the same time, it's treat others how you want to be treated, yes, but you also have to know that everybody's different. And everybody, not saying, then be roasted. Make it known that you want to be roasted, and we can roast you all day, every day.
How does that work if you say
with good communication?
But if I treat people how I want to be treated, I don't need to communicate with them. I just need to communicate with myself, because
I feel like you should use that as a baseline, not just as we're gonna take it and run with it. Because if somebody likes being punched in the face, that don't mean go punch somebody in the face. Like, it's a baseline. Not just, we about to hop on this. No, the bike isn't meant to take you all the way. It's just pedal a couple steps.
So how do we find that baseline, though? How do we find, like, if we're starting at treat people the way you want to be treated, and that's where we're using to treat people the way we treat them, it takes a relationship and communication to understand how they want to be treated. So do we treat them the way they want to be treated, or do we treat them the way that we want to be treated? How do we decide that?
I do both.
How do you
Initially, I treat people how I would want to be treated, with the utmost respect, decency, and all that good stuff. But again, like you stated, it goes off of that relationship and communicating with the other person to know. I feel like they go hand in hand. Your initial response can be to treat somebody how you would want to be treated. Me personally, with good intentions and respect and all that. But because people are different, if it doesn't work, then you need to have that conversation and figure out what the issue is.
Okay.
But for me, I like to be treated with respect, and I try to walk with the best intentions, and I automatically give people that little bit of respect and decency as a human being. So if I'm giving that to you and you're coming at me sideways, we got a problem. Just because you like somebody coming at you sideways don't mean I like to be come at sideways. So then I'm going to let you know we're going to have a conversation.
What if them coming at you sideways is actually straight up and down?
That's why we said we're going to have that conversation. This is why I feel like you just came at me sideways.
And what if they
There's
say,
a disconnect.
that's not what I can. That's not what I did. I'm just treating you how I want to be treated.
Okay, understandably so. But this is how, like we've talked about before, perception is everything. This is how I perceived it. So where is the issue? Because some things are just, they are what they are. It is what it is. It can't be changed. But if there's a little room for gray area, then we're going to have to just figure out what happened and where the disconnect is.
I just want to say, I think you were talking about Ty because he has a gray sweater on. I caught that. I know what you
I'm done. You got a gray shirt on.
He's talking about both of us. See? Throwing shots.
I'm done.
Next you about Tati. It's okay. I got you back, Tati. She done switched over on you. I got you though.
No, I got Tati. I be coming in clutch for Tati. Don't play.
Barely.
She appreciates it.
I think for me, I think that my approach is to just treat people with decency and respect. For sure. I think you can't ultimately treat somebody how they want to be treated until you learn who they are. So if me and Alicia met on the street and we became friends and I said something that may have rubbed her the wrong way, I don't know. I don't know because we may never talked about it. And then she just flips out and, oh, that's so disrespectful, F you and, all these things that she does.
I don't do all that.
I don't never know, you know what I'm saying? So my approach is just to be who I am, and adjust and adapt along the way to maybe, I wouldn't even say censor, but decrease certain things with certain people if I deem the relationship valuable, or if it's just them, because sometimes I won't decrease it, because sometimes it's just people's perspectives and how they think and react. They never met somebody like me, and I might joke around or roast a lot, and then they're like, "Oh, that hurts my feelings," but it's like, if you know who I am as a person, I do that for fun. It's never mean. It's never nothing. It's just me talking my stuff, and I do that on the regular. So that's staying true to myself. So if they respect me enough, they'll either dive into it with me, or kind of laugh at. They'll laugh, and then we'll just move on. It's like giving more gasoline to a fire that started. Like you can't be mad about that. So it just depends, man. For real. I wouldn't say treat everybody how I want to be treated, because maybe they're not capable of treating me how I want to be treated. Maybe they're not on that level of the mental stability that I am. They might be far back. You know what I'm saying? Or they might treat me better than what I deserve. You know what I mean? Like they might go above and beyond.
But that could be a problem too. But we'll touch on that next. But I do want to say I agree with you about Shalicia's anger issues. She used to throw chairs.
Shalisha didn't know.
She's grown a lot, and Yeah.
I just want to put it out there as a public service announcement. Robert has actually thrown a chair at me. So that is why I constantly bring up him throwing a chair. Because
What did
he
you
threw
do?
a chair at me because I laughed because he died in a video game. You died in a video game. I chuckled on the little back lounge chair. Next thing you know, I got it. And it wasn't like a regular chair. It was like an ottoman. So it was heavy. It was big. He just picked it up and threw it at somebody while I'm laying down. Like,
Should've been
bruh,
That
laughing.
was Robert.
work on it.
That's
Fitz,
disrespectful.
Work on it.
That's
that
disrespectful.
was Robert. This is Fitz.
And no,
Or disrespectful.
granted, I'm no angel. I can give it back
You are,
just as much
Aggravate.
as you want to
You
put it
are-
out. But
you're an angel because the devil fell from heaven.
I'm about to watch.
Ooh.
No, because I still got my wings. Don't play. But
Apparently, they're like this big.
no, they flapping. We
You got it from
soaring
Red
over
Bull.
here. We soaring this way.
Soaring where? Into a wall or a chair?
Up. The sky's the limit. My
Dang.
feet stay grounded, but my head stay in the clouds.
I had
It is big.
What did you say right before you were talking about?
I said treating-
If somebody
yeah.
treats you too good, if somebody respects you too much, I think that can be a problem as well, because if you don't respect yourself and then somebody tries to respect you and you feel insecure or shame because you know that you haven't been respecting yourself, then that can become a problem. So have you guys ever dealt with that, where maybe somebody has shown you a level of respect that maybe you weren't ready for yet, and you lashed out on them, or you maybe treated them in a way that you're currently treating yourself?
I think I've seen that in cartoons, but I've never personally experienced that.
I'm giving too much respect.
Have you ever been given too much respect?
I've encountered it twice in my lifetime. Twice.
Where you've been given too much
Tea
respect?
time.
I wouldn't say too much respect, but the person, these specific two people, have really, it's just who they are. You know what I mean? But I've never encountered such a healthy, I guess, relationship with them, or boundaries, you know, the whole nine. And it made me feel weird because with people, it's usually drama. It's usually their insecurities talking, their fears, their perspective. Like 90% of the fights that people have is because of their own perspectives. It has nothing to do with the actual material at hand. It's more just based off of, oh, you felt disrespected, so you act like this. So for them, it actually opened up parts of myself I didn't know that was there, simply because of them. So it's definitely a reflection. I wouldn't say I was like insecure about it, but it was just like, oh, this is weird. You know, this is different. Like, this is what it's supposed to look like, but I never had that.
That makes sense. And, you know, I've personally dealt with it as well, where, you know, someone has, oh, there goes the camera. Okay.
Noodles and Company.
Not, definitely not that. Someone's shown me respect, but I think, you know, if you don't learn from it, then it can get to a point to where you have an unhealthy relationship with that person, because now if they mess up, your whole definition of respect is based on how they treat you instead of how you treat yourself. So I think sometimes we can get in situations where we're not respecting ourselves. Someone shows us maybe a higher level of respect for ourselves than we're showing to ourselves, and we become dependent upon that. And then something happens where you have like an honest disagreement, and then now maybe they're not respecting themselves, and now your whole foundation is ruined, because your sense of respect is based on them and how good they've been respecting you and stuff like that. So I would just say, you know, when it comes to other people respecting you, if you see that they're respecting you in a way that you don't respect yourself, try to learn from it and build your own foundation and treat yourself like that. Because if you know, I'll say, I think I'll say most people want to be respected. You know, even if we don't go out and search for it, I think that the hope or the want is that we want to be respected. We expect it, no, but we fundamentally want it, I think. So when we get it from someone, I think there's kind of like this suspicion because we know how valuable it is. And sometimes that suspicion can take us to a place to where, we doubt the other person and the respect that they're showing because we know that people can respect you long enough to disrespect you. Like sometimes the level of respect is just the payoff for the disrespect. You don't know what's being done.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions? Anything that you want to bring up about respect? I'm always yapping.
I think the biggest thing that I got a statement, I guess. It might turn into a question. I think the biggest thing that I've learned just by being more invested into myself is you have to put the time into yourself. I feel like people put too much time into social media and outside things. So that almost programs them to develop that sense of respect from the internet. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people don't get what they want, life, relationships, whatever. It's because they spend so much time on something telling them how they should be rather than creating themselves to be who they should be, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. And I think, and maybe I'll form a question from that. Do you think that it's possible to respect yourself and also at the same time take seriously why others don't respect? Why?
Um, I think you can be aware of it. I don't really. I think about it. I think about what I know, what I've done, how much time I put in. Um, but I try not to nitpick other people's lives. Maybe they just haven't hit that journey yet. Maybe they're just not ready. I mean, I can bring you to the water well, but that doesn't mean you're thirsty or that you want to drink. You know what I mean? So, um, I just really try to focus in on what kind of seeds I can throw in, maybe in some areas to help them grow, which usually works. Um, but I'm not really too focused on why they aren't where they need to be or who they need to be. That's up to them. You know what I mean? That's their own journey. So I'm just more of like passing by, throwing some teeth out there for you.
Very
For the
kind.
elk.
That's very kind of you.
Ah,
Do
I'm not gonna do the
you-
elk.
Does Ty or Tati and Shalisha have anything to say about this? Because I do have one follow-up question. And we can get to the practical piece of advice.
I mean, it would depend on the scenario and who is saying it. But you could be doing something that someone else may view as you being disrespectful, but that's not even the case. That would go back to how they perceive it, but I would just try to investigate why, but pay attention to it, but not too much attention to it, because it may not be an issue within, oh, are you being respectful or not? It's just how you're getting it across type of thing, like how you're presenting it. So I would just be careful at who you're listening to as far as that goes.
Yeah, I would agree with Shalisha. I think interpretation is something that is very personal, and people can interpret what you say and do in different ways. So it's yeah, just be careful with how people are interpreting you, taking it to heart, because everyone's different. And even if that's not your intention, someone can take what you say and to them it can come off as if that is it's not.
Yeah.
And I would also just add to that, like it's been said, you're not in charge of how people take what you're saying, but you do have some responsibility in how you deliver it. But I just wouldn't, if you say your piece and you have that conversation and let it be known that wasn't your intention, and try to redeliver your initial thought or feeling or whatever, if they're still perceiving it as disrespectful, then maybe it's some searching that they have to do within themselves and not so much you.
You're wrong. No, I'm just playing. I have to slightly disagree because I've tried multiple ways, including your way, Shalisha, because we know you're almighty. Um,
You know.
Yeah.
but I found that no matter how you say it, no matter what you say, people are always going to perceive it how they want to perceive it, no matter what. So I say it in my truest form, and it may be raw. It may hurt people's feelings. It may cut them. It might slice and dice them right through the middle. But when I say it, I don't know if it's a passion or how strong it is when it comes out. It makes people think, makes them think critically about what I said, and make them take a look at their life as if I would have said it a different way. That they kind of just brush it off one ear not the other. So it makes sense, but it goes back to people aren't developing by themselves. They're developing because of social media, other people. They worship other things. So sometimes you just gotta let it roll, you know. And I know everybody doesn't respond to that the best way, but I rather sting you and you have that sting forever, and it turn you to somebody else.
True, I get what you're saying.
Well,
But also, depending on how you, depending on the delivery, you can also reach people, more people, or even just reach them in a different way than what you thought you could, just based off of how you deliver it also. So I feel like I agree with what you're saying about being raw, because sometimes people just need to hear it dry, however it is, straight to the point. But I also feel like with certain situations, your delivery is key.
it's the same. Even if you say it in the nicest way, like even if I'm like, Shalisha, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that, and you're all up there with your chest puffed out, ready to go, you gonna be like, nah, you ain't f you and blah 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 blah.
I mean, if I get some reasons to why, then no, that could not be my reaction. But again,
but it might be too late.
It could be on the delivery as well. But that also falls hand in hand with, at a certain point in time, it's not how you're saying it or what you're saying, it's how the other person is taking it. But in some certain situations, all I'm saying is I found it helpful that the way you deliver something can change the dynamic of the whole conversation or what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just been something that I've learned to, okay, well, maybe if I would have said it a little bit this way, then sometimes it's not necessarily what you say, but how you're saying it.
I'll remember this podcast to result back to it. Every time you get out of character, disrespect us, all that stuff. I'm gonna pull this video up and be like, remember you said this?
Yeah,
you lied.
And if I say, okay, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, my bad, I could have delivered that a little bit differently. I didn't need to say it like that, or I understand where you're coming from.
That's a weak apology.
But if I say, I meant it exactly how it came out, then it was meant for you to feel the fire. Is all I'm saying.
That's a weak apology. I need to know. I need to know what you did wrong. I don't want to hear no. My bad. Nah, tell me what you did wrong. Quit with the broad stuff.
Let me.
I had a little bit of an attitude.
Let me ask you guys this. All right. So I think Shalisha said earlier, or one of you two were talking about.
It was me.
No, it wasn't.
Where you were saying that you tell them, you give it to them raw because they need to hear it, right?
That was tight.
Okay. So do you guys think that it's that they need to hear it, or that you need for them to hear it? Like, are they in need, or are you in need Like, do you need to tell them this for you, or do you need to
Depends.
tell them this for them? Like, when did they ask for your help? For this,
Some people may not need to ask for it, but it's still something they need to hear. But I also feel like it goes hand in hand with sometimes people just gotta let it out. They just gotta say their piece. It would depend on the situation.
but what dictates whether they need to hear something or not? Like, who are you to decide what somebody else needs to hear?
Ooh, I'm God.
I mean, you have a point, but I mean, if you have someone's best interest at heart and you want to see them grow and all this good stuff, and you're there and you're present, you know what's going on. I feel like if it applies to them and it's something that can help them grow, they should be open to hearing it. But some people have those blinders on to where they're not really listening. They're hearing you, but they're not hearing you. And it's something that needs to be heard. But then sometimes, like for me, sometimes I just need to let it out. I just need you to understand where I'm coming from, and I got to say my piece.
So are you disrespecting them by telling them something that they didn't ask you to tell them?
Ooh.
Like, if you
No.
tell them something that you said that they needed to hear, and then they say, you know, stop telling me this or whatever, and they get quote unquote disrespectful, is that legitimate? Because they didn't ask for your
If they
help.
get disrespectful, no, because I didn't bring it to you disrespectfully. I didn't come at you wrong. I didn't come at you trying to cut you from the jugular. I came at you trying to help you. So if you're getting defensive and you want to be disrespectful, then we don't need to have the conversation no further, because I'm not about to talk to you while you're being disrespectful. But
let me ask you this then. So before this podcast, there were certain things that you needed to do, right? Like you needed to turn your computer on, get your mic ready, all that stuff, right? What if somebody just came in your room, they started opening up your computer, setting everything up, doing everything. You didn't ask them to do this. And then you come in and you're like, why are you touching my stuff? I didn't tell you to do this. Da, 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 da. And they're like, but it needed to get done. You're like, I didn't ask you though. You don't think,
I mean, I wouldn't have came in that hot. I just would have been like, hey, bro, what you doing?
but
They
what
would
if,
be like, oh, I'm setting your stuff up for you. Oh, good looking, because I'm a little bit late. Or I ain't done it yet, whatever the case is. But I don't feel like it needs to have all that much energy from right off the bat. Like, it depends on the situation. If I can clearly see you setting it up, I'm gonna just be like, hey, what you doing? But if I feel like you snooping or you going through something or in somewhere you're not, because I would know.
How would you know that they weren't
Because
snooping when you came in?
If you're typing on my computer trying to guess my password, what you snooping for?
How do you know they weren't just helping? You needed it set up, and they thought they.
But you don't know my passcode. So you not knowing my passcode, no, there's no thought.
Problem. You
No,
don't know
because there's
a problem.
I do know. If we're talking to if you're giving this type of example, I know. Nobody knows my passcode.
But I'm saying
I'm not gonna tell you my passcode. So if you're typing,
you don't know this person's problem. Like, let's say you think you know it, but you don't actually know it, and then you come in and you're like, you need to hear this, you need to hear this, and they're like, I actually don't. I got it. I'm good. I don't really need your help. And then you say, no, you need to hear this because here's why I think you need to hear this. If somebody came in your room and started touching your computer and they're like, no, I need to set it up because this, and this, and you be doing this, and you be doing that, you would just be like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I needed that, even though I didn't ask you and I was going to do it myself.
Okay, so I get what you're saying. I feel like your example of somebody setting up the computer threw it off a little bit. That's just a nice gesture to me. Thank you for getting me set up, but I wasn't set up myself. But giving like somebody like not knowing what somebody needs and just putting in your 2 cents, I feel like I always take caution before I chime into something. Like I talked to you recently, right? And the first thing I said was, I don't know the dynamic, right? But this is just what I observed or how I felt. It could have been something you felt you didn't need to hear, but I was just giving some advice. Now you take that advice how you want to, but you didn't come disrespectfully talking about some, oh, I don't need to hear this, da 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 da. We had an actual genuine conversation about it. I brought you something. I don't know if it sounded like you was open-minded to me. I mean, we was asking questions, throwing out different dialogue. But I mean, if somebody comes in that defensive off the bat, before the conversation's even over with, why are you getting so defensive? Is it that something that you don't need to work on, or maybe it's something that you're just not receptive to listening and you know it's something you need to work on? But if you're gonna jump in like that with me giving my advice, depending on the person and the situation, I just may just leave it as what it is and not finish, because sometimes there's no point to even continue if you're not even listening before I even get to say what I wanted to say.
Well, you mentioned one key thing. You said, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's different than saying, you need to hear this and I don't know. Like, how do you know what I need to hear if you don't know? You know, like,
well, I never jump in like, oh, you need to hear this, or
but that's
this
what
is
you
something
said.
you need to do.
You said this person needs to hear this, so sometimes they just need to hear it. And
but I'm not gonna use that. Sometimes they do need to hear it, but I'm not gonna start the conversation off that way. I'm not gonna start it off with telling somebody what they need.
What if that's how they're perceiving that you're doing it? Like, if you don't come out and say,
then that's when we have that conversation.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why with you, I come out and said, I don't know the dynamic, but.
And so if you don't know,
okay.
I guess when you say like, they need to hear this, it makes the assumption that you already know the problem, the dynamic, the issue at hand.
May need
but
to
when
hear
you come
it. Let's
into
put
it
the
with,
may.
This is what I think, but I want to understand before I give my advice. I think that's different than saying, I'm going to give this advice regardless of what they need. I think if you seek to understand and then determine what you think they need, but you ask questions, is different than coming in and saying, you know what, you need to hear this, so I'm just gonna be real. I'm just gonna be
real. No, I don't come in that way. I don't do that.
What you say, I think that's just how it came off when you said they need.
Okay, yeah.
When I
I don't do that.
I'm not.
Now, go ahead.
I was gonna
say. Okay, go ahead.
When I think of somebody that needs something, I'm doing it regardless of what they say. You know, like if I walk in and somebody's having an allergic reaction because they ate a peanut, I'm not gonna sit there and go back and forth with them about if they need the shot. You know, it's like they're getting that shot that you know, like that's not up for discussion. That's what they need.
I'm not wrestling with them to give them the shot though. I'm about to wrestle with you while you're over here about to die, and I'm trying to save your life. That's not happening.
But that's what
you want to die, you're gonna die. I'm not about to wrestle with you. You already died.
That's an example of something that they need. But if I don't know that they're allergic to peanuts and I just walk in, stab them with this shot, and I'm just like, well, you needed that. And they're like, no, bro. I'm actually only allergic to apples. This is an orange. And it's like, you would have known that if you would have talked to me first before deciding what I needed, but you thought you knew, and now I have this stuff running through my body that I don't actually need because you thought that I needed it. That's all I'm saying is like, I think you're.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and it was just the wording on it, because I'm not gonna jump in. Now, if I feel like there's something that I need to say, then yes, I'm gonna be like, okay, I feel like I need to get this off my chest. I feel like this is something that I need to just let out, whatever the case is. Then I will approach it like that, yes. But if I'm coming at somebody else, giving them something, I don't just be like, all right, well, you need to hear this.
So how do you, and maybe Ty and Tati could jump in, but when you're determining whether it's something you need to say, are you saying it for them or are you saying it for you? Like,
I think it's half and half. So for me, it's a balance because I developed the approach a different way now too. So sometimes it comes from me because I want to see this person not go down the same road that I potentially went down and maybe kind of avoid that, or it'd be less traumatic because they have some kind of keys to avoid some of that stuff, right? Other times is when they need to hear it, and I think that's a timing thing. So sometimes, you know, you may not like. There's sometimes I can't tell somebody something right now because they probably won't understand. They probably won't be able to understand right now because they're not ready. So maybe 3 months down the road, the same issue might arise, and then I can pop that seed and be like, hey, you ever thought about this? Or ask them questions to get them thinking and be like, oh yeah, kind of get it out of them, kind of like a solution focused therapy type thing. Kind of get it out of them so they feel empowered, they feel encouraged, because they found out by themselves. They can't really say, oh, Ty, help me, because I don't want that. I more want you to figure it out on your own. But in those moments where I can help, I may or may not help. I mean, you may know that, but you haven't applied it yet. You know what I mean? So it's more of them. It's more of that balance, like I said. But I don't really throw it in there when they don't need it that I know of. Maybe I do, um, or maybe I feel like maybe to me I feel like I'm offering them something to unravel all the chaos in their head. So I guess it really depends. It's the balance, huh?
You're like opening their awareness.
Yeah, like just helping them get it down. Because for me, I feel like I'm calm and balanced most of the time, and then for all the other people around me, I do that for myself to keep them calm, because it's difficult to be around people who are just going crazy. They have no self control. You know what I mean? So offering that wisdom for them to kind of sit with for a while and then apply it, it helps both of us. So it's a balance for sure. I'm not finna just run up on somebody and be like, hey, let me tell you, except Alicia.
Yeah, I was about to say you might. I wouldn't put it past you.
I agree with Ty.
Thank you, Tatiana.
All right. So let's see. Talked about a lot. We'll give the practical piece of advice and get her done. If you have not subscribed, like, comment, share, all
like
that.
if you want me to get a puppy.
Like if you think Shalisha's a puppy. And
What? Did nobody say that?
Oh, my bad.
You know what I said, and so they knew what I said too. I'll be checking for them likes.
What's your guys' one practical piece of advice for Tyree? Nah, what's your one practical
Just
piece
one?
Yeah, one practical piece of advice about everything we talked about today.
My practical piece of advice is always strive to rise above and hold yourself to your own personal standards. At the end of the day, that's the one you have to live with.
Ooh.
Personal standard. What you got to say, Ty?
There's a quote that stuck with me this week. Never put passion before principle. Even if you win, you lose. Mr. Miyagi.
Never put passion before principle?
Yep.
Even if you win?
You lose. Mr. Miyagi.
I agree with it. Really? What about you, Shalisha?
I would say
It doesn't matter. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing.
I was waiting for it. I would say just to watch how you deliver things, because you could have something that somebody really needs to hear or that they could benefit from, but sometimes the way that we come across, it just doesn't click, especially in like a high intense situation or a high emotional state. So just be cautious. You're not in charge of how they take it, but if you're looking to help people and reach people, sometimes that delivery can make all the difference. And self-love, just because you gotta throw it in there all the time.
I'll give Ty a chance to respond to that.
Self-love, self-respect, do that.
Shalisha knows what it is. Every day and every night, 365.
365 till I.
She knows her place.
Where is that?
In front of the sink, washing dishes and making me sandwiches.
Shit.
There she go, cousin.
Look at you. You talking about I ain't cussing no more. I ain't cussing no more. You just can't do it, can you? Huh?
All right.
Look, bruh.
I just bring it out of her,
I
huh?
said shoot.
She talked about being petty.
Hmm.
Talking about having tough skin. Your skin is flimsy. I'm under it every day.
So
No,
we
it's
got
just
Tati Rise.
part of me. What's your practical piece of advice?
I'm getting
Hi,
it.
puppy.
Tati Rise.
No ties.
He said it. He said
You weren't ready to listen.
I must have missed it in all the pettiness.
he said it before anything. He was saying that if you pretty much disregard your principle, even though you're passionate, you still lose.
Don't put.
Oh, his quote was his advice. I thought he was just sharing a nice quote. All right.
She's putting you down. She's saying it.
No,
Hey.
I just didn't know.
It will affect those who it affect, and those who don't. It doesn't affect, and that's their loss.
But what are they?
Robert, what is your practical piece of advice, Mr. Petty?
What are they?
Yeah.
Weak.
So my practical piece of advice is
I'm
one,
dead.
don't be weak. That's first and foremost. Two, I would just say when it comes to respect, you have to establish what respect means for you, but also understand that it's a working relationship. It's based on culture, environment, context. You know, like some of the most disrespectful things I've said are to people that I respect because that's the relationship that we have. It's, context. Context matters. And so when Shalisha talks about delivery, I think that I would say if there's a problem with the delivery, then it's probably the context that you should look at. You know, if you're 5 minutes away from a restaurant and you get delivery, you'll probably be mad if it takes 2 hours. But if you're like 30 miles away, then you can understand. So if your relationship is 30 miles away from this person, then don't be surprised if it takes longer to communicate what could have taken shorter if your relationship was closer. So typically, if there's a problem with the delivery, there's a problem with the relationship because you wouldn't even question the delivery if the relationship was closer. It would be like, you know what, they good. They put the Chick-fil-A sauce in there, they good. I'm not even gonna trip. This was probably something, there's a reason for it. So yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that great stuff. Let us know what you think. Should Shalisha wear a blue headband next week, red headband? Let us know. Starburst. Maybe we can get Ty to switch up the hoodie, and maybe me and Tati will wear a different color hat. I don't know.
Like if you
And
think Fitz should
Shalisha
shave
will
all his
get a
facial hair.
dog.
Like if you think I should shave all my facial hair. If I should get a Brazilian wax.
On your face?
We'll leave it up to the viewers to.
So wait, I want to know if this is something you actually gonna go through with, because I'm gonna need this recorded and documented. You gonna get a Brazilian wax on your face?
Sure.
The lies.
There goes the camera.
The lies. Because they knew you was lying. It was like, we're not even about to just cut it out.
Tatiana, end us with the famous quote.
Right? And I need that enthusiasm, girl.
Getting it out the mud. Show us some love.
Yeah.
From the bottom.
You mean business.
Yeah.
From the bottom. You're
From the bottom